He'll get us into World War III. Yeah, how's that looking? Oh, he'll lock up all the gay people. Yeah, how's that looking? He'll lock up all of his political opposition. Yeah, how that's looking.
So we are talking about two candidates, one of whom who I have said January 6th, his perceptions on the 2020 election, the way that he dealt with the alleged transfer of power are disqualifying. And Rob brought up rhetorical points that if Trump was the kind of sober, sane, politically savvy individual and he said the things that Rob said, then I'd be like, oh shit, maybe he is playing 4D chess. Maybe he does understand what's going on. Maybe I do want to trust him with power. But what Rob said, where Rob Noor can fucking figure it out. Rob fucking Rule Noor.
Not that smart.
Can figure it the fuck out. Well, no, you're
I know what
you're
dude, saying,
but
right.
I'm just saying, like,
you're smart
I'm just
guy,
saying, this motherfucker's a multi-billionaire running the fucking country, and you're a fucking home health care worker, which is not a dig at you.
No, I know.
It's just saying, like, these are relative positions of power. So if Rob Noor can figure it the fuck out, then why can't Donald Trump? And so as a result, what we're talking about, you guys said that Biden is not better than Trump. And so we are both making a calculation here. My calculation is that Biden, which you're going to take this as a dig against him and a reason why you're not voting for him, is effectively a corpse. He is the deep state duct taped to a rolling dolly that maintains the momentum of the status quo. That is what he is right now. And I am saying that I would rather take the stability, the relative stability, bear in mind, of the status quo versus taking what looks like a fracturing country and throwing a fucking hand grenade at it, which is Donald Trump, which is what fucking happened in 2016.
How'd that work?
We threw a hand grenade at it and it fucking cracked.
Okay,
and now you guys are like, let's throw another grenade at it and see what happens.
I'm not biting that bullet, by the way, to be clear. I am a lot more politically selfish, and my reasons for not wanting Trump to be president is because of the damage it'll do to the GOP.
Yeah, okay. So let's get to Connor's point. And I don't mind having that discussion either, Jeb, because I think there are a lot of people that say that. Like my friend John Burke, for example, is a DeSantis guy, and he thinks the Republicans will be better positioned in 2028 if Trump loses. That's his argument. So there's certainly an argument to be had there. But to go to Connor's point here, like I will concede, I think EOD will, and maybe Jeb as well, that Joe Biden's basically a walking corpse. He's not running the show. We all agree with that. Right. So who's running it? You said deep state. That's the word you use. Perfectly happy to accept that. So let's go back and look at the grenade of 2016. I remember that. I remember going into it. It was, can you trust Trump with foreign policy? He'll get us into World War III. Yeah, how's that looking? Oh, he'll lock up all the gay people. Yeah, how's that looking? He'll lock up all of his political opposition. Yeah, how that's looking. Oh, black people will do terrible under him. Yeah, how's that looking? All of the things that we were told that Trump was unstable and was a grenade and was going to cause all of this horrible stuff. None of it happened. In fact, the only things we saw happening...
I have a counter argument for
okay,
that.
That's fine. Certainly you can get to it. But the only things we saw happening with the vision was left-wing people going insane, deciding even the day that Trump was elected to riot, to beat Trump supporters, to beat Republicans and conservatives on college campuses, to riot anytime there was a Trump rally, to burn cities down around this country. That's what we saw, left-wingers acting like that. We saw left-wingers doing that. And then, of course, we could talk about COVID and what the response to COVID should be. But the criticisms I have of Trump and COVID is he acted too much like a Democrat. So if we're doing a binary choice between Trump and his actions and how he's this unstable grenade versus not Biden, but the deep state that's really running the show, that's literally locking people up like me that are pro-life, that's literally sending FBI agents to school board meetings to people that are arguing against masking their children and forcing trans bullshit to their kids all the time, that's literally ignoring Trump, like when he tried to pull out of Syria where the generals just said, nah, fuck you, we run the show, that's literally weaponizing these institutions to go after people like Trump and all of the 97 felonies or whatever he's facing. Why wouldn't I say that Trump is more stable in that sense? Because another 4 years of Biden and the deep state could literally mean people like me and you being locked up because Nina Janikowski gets her disinformation czar position and decides that me and you saying that we don't like Biden spreading disinformation. We didn't have to worry about that under Trump.
I don't think you recognize the dubs that the right wing has taken in the past few years, which I think is a little crazy, but I'll explain why. So for me, so all of the things that you said, I don't think that black people were materially worse off under Trump. Hispanics, you could make arguments about Hispanic illegal immigrants versus citizens and residents and all that kind of stuff. I don't give a fuck about that either because I do want a strong border, so I don't give a fuck about that. I think that the Democrats, though, you are underestimating the panic from the left for the repeal of Roe versus Wade. This is a federal equivalent to the passing and actual enforcement of a assault weapons ban. That's what this is, like, culturally from a momentum standpoint. So when you say, like, well, Trump had no effect, why is anybody complaining about him, ruling? He didn't really do anything. Nah, he appointed, like, 2 pretty conservative justices and oversaw the fucking repeal of Roe v. Wade, which is one of the largest political cultural developments of the past 50 fucking years.
Can I ask you just a 5-second question? Do you think if Jeb would have won in 2016 instead, that there's a chance he could have appointed these justices? And would you have used that to blame him going into 2024?
Wait. If Jeb had won, would he have appointed the same justices?
Well, justices, obviously probably not the exact same, but conservative justices that would have
conservative enough to repeal Roe versus Wade.
Right.
Yeah. See, that's a really interesting question to me that I would borderline have to think about more, because I always think of Jeb as like a softer guy, right? But he's also like a pretty strong Christian. So the same shit might have happened.
Amy Coney Barrett would have been a go for fucking Jeb. Okay, Neil Gorsuch would have been a go for fucking Jeb. So would have Brett Kavanaugh. Okay, I mean, there's no way that any of those 3 justices that Trump supported would have been not cool with Jeb Bush.
It would have happened anyway. Okay. I don't know. Sorry, real quick. I don't know if that's necessarily the main thrust of my point. I think the main thrust of my point is that when you look at Democrats and you're like, why are they panicked? Trump really wasn't that bad. I think abortion is the main thing.
Okay, so then
even if it would have happened under a moderate.
Real quick. I agree with you guys that another Republican would have picked the same justices. That's actually why I think we don't need Donald Trump. Every good thing about the Donald Trump presidency that you brought up are the things
that was somebody else.
Are the things where he followed the general conservative platform. But then, as Rob said,
him not being a politician might have
a bunch of fucking Democrat shit, and all these conservatives calling me a fake conservative and me a fake Republican, fucking red flag laws, love them, overspending a Democrat, love it. Like, what the fuck, dude?
No, we don't love that. That's actually 2 big criticisms Rob and I share.
Even better economy under other GOP nominees. Like, I hate the fucking cop-out. It's a binary choice between Joe Biden. Don't give a fuck.
Not a cop-out. That's the reality of the situation you're faced with.
Shut the fuck up. It wasn't before. And all these same 90% of the same people were saying that we shouldn't vote DeSantis, we shouldn't vote Nikki Haley, we shouldn't vote anybody but maybe Vivek, who is a proto-Trump because he has no platform of his own and just copies Trump. So I don't give a fuck about this bullshit argument. It's a binary choice. When it wasn't a binary choice, all these same people were jerking off Trump and Vivek, who was just proto-Trump.
Okay,
Republicans would be better, and Trump is not a Republican.
Go ahead.
To address, I want to address Connor's point that it's tantamount to an assault weapons ban. I really don't think it is. An assault weapons ban is the federal government coming down and telling the states, here's what the fucking reality is, and you all will not be able to sell these weapons anymore. And that's the end of it. When it comes to the dismissal of Roe v. Wade, it's actually turning shit over to the states. It's letting the states make a decision about what it is that they want to do. It's actually putting more power in the hands of individual fucking voters such as you and I, instead of in the hands of unappointed fucking bureaucrats at the upper echelon of the federal government. It's kind of ridiculous to sort of make that comparison in my mind.
I'm not saying it's a 1-to-1. I'm talking about cultural impact.
Yeah, cultural. Well, I can understand that they're both divisive issues. However,
I would say those are the 2 most divisive issues that have dominated dinner tables since I was a child, and I am almost 40.
Even if the fucking Democrats are as upset about this as okay, even let me backtrack. Even if the justices hadn't done that, if they had ruled in favor of Roe v. Wade, I think the left would be absolutely fucking tedious to the brim. They were anyway, long before the overturn of Roe v. Wade happened. So I don't think that I don't think Roe v. Wade being upheld or Roe v. Wade being overturned actually has a significant impact on the Democrat voters' general perspective of who Trump is. Orange man bad, orange man bad, orange man bad. That's all it's ever going to be.
But I wonder. So part of the panic that we're seeing on the left right now, I think, is the fact that they know that there's a real chance that Biden will not be able to hold together through the election, and that Donald Trump will have a few good appearances, and as a result stands a real chance of winning. And then I also think that they're worried about, I think the freak left is in full fucking swing right now. Like, I don't know how you guys feel about like the left. Like you could have absolutely hated the left for the past decade, but there was always like this veneer of like, we're the good guys and you guys are all bigots and you're evil. When we're in charge, we're on the right side of history. Like there was like this very sincere attempt to be like, the left wing has never done anything bad whatsoever, and when the left wing did do bad stuff, it wasn't really the left wing. And since October 7th, the freak left is just like out in force, where they're like, yeah, fuck Jews, fuck Israel, let's kill them all. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Games for Palestine, that's the most retarded fucking message I've ever heard in my life.
All right,
you know,
but my point being that like the mask is off. And so I think that part of the reason why the mask is off is because of a panic, because they think that Trump has a real shot of winning.
So leave Biden win?
They're feeling pressed.
So let's leave Biden be president. Here's the problem. Like, this isn't a problem with anything you two are saying. We're all individuals. Ironically, I think that what's happening is Connor and Jeb are almost making the exact opposite arguments. So Connor, when I asked him specifically, like, well, what is it specifically about the grenade aspect of Trump? You're like, well, like this unique shit, like the left's freaked out because of Roe v. Wade. But Jeb's admitting, like, no, actually, he was just a run-of-the-mill Republican who then had run-of-the-mill Democrat policies on top of it, right? So he had some of the good shit he did.
Him not a run-of-the-mill.
Well, right, but what you're saying is...
We might not be one-to-one. Jeb and I might not be.
Right, right, which is fair. No one expects that. So it's difficult, though, to try to argue in both worlds. So yeah. I'll say for Connor to say this, but I think you can see that, like, that's not a reason to impugn Trump. Even if you think he's uniquely responsible for Roe v. Wade being overturned, I don't think that's a reason to say, then the reaction of the unhinged left is a reason that I won't prefer Trump going forward, because they'll be so nuts. Because I think I could make the argument that there's an awful lot of people on your list that would be really happy that Roe v. Wade was overturned, and the left would also continue their insanity with that person. So if the idea is like, well, look, the reason we can't have Trump, one of the big reasons is because at this point, if it's Trump versus the deep state and which one will be a more calming force going forward, I completely disagree that another vote for Biden and the deep state behind it is all of a sudden going to pour water on the insanities and the excesses of not just the corruption in these intel institutions, but also further the insanity of the left. I think that a Trump election will force, you won't see that sort of corruption because all of these institutions...
I think a Trump election is going to be pouring fucking diesel. It's going to be pouring napalm mix on the fucking fire, but I mean... I'm happy to hear different.
But the problem is that battle's coming inevitably anyways. There's two different things we're talking about here. There's the insanity of the people on the left like we're talking about. That's going to have to be dealt with. And if the Democrats keep winning elections despite that insanity, it's going to push them more and more to that insanity, right? Whereas if Trump wins, then the Democrats could make a case of like, look, instead of this like crazy fucking insane progressive people that we're pandering to, and instead of the lawfare strategy of going after Trump, why don't we get back to like sensible policy, like sticking up for workers, or, you know, those sorts of things that Democrats used to claim to be about. So I think that an election of Trump not only leads to that more, but also means that we'll rein in the excesses of groups like the FBI. Because if you're worried that Trump's going to be corrupt and go after his opponents, the problem is every institution, from our academia to our media to our intel agencies, etc., are the ultimate check on Trump. They won't leave him he couldn't even pull out of Syria because they were all stabbing him in the back. So the idea that he's going to come in and be an authoritarian is nonsense. However, Joe Biden and the people running things are going to continue to be authoritarians. And I know you see it, Connor. You see it with their treatment of Hunter Biden and with Joe Biden. You see how they put their thumb on the scale. That will never end until we start to reject their lawfare process.
Here's the thing. I never expect that to end.
Yeah, Trump is willing to put his thumb on the scale in a similar way.
But he can't.
Literally allow his supporters to say, let's hang this motherfucker.
But he can't.
We don't listen to him.
But he can't.
He can, and he
did. He could say, but there's no institutional power behind that. What did he do? What institutional power did he have Bill Barr lock up his opponents? Did he have his FBI used unverified opposition research that he sourced to spy on his opponents?
Well, hold on.
No.
I'm still sore about that. I want to see Hillary in jail.
again, no, I mean, yeah, whatever. The Hillary thing, I'll probably agree with you more. And listen, me and Connor are going to break a little bit because Connor is a centrist. I'm a pretty extreme conservative minarchist. I'm just not extreme for the sake of being extreme, where I jump on Trump's dick because he's extreme. I'm extreme, but I'm principled. And
well, don't jump on anyone's dick. We don't want to hurt anyone.
I'm not saying you do. I'm saying that a lot of Trump's base does, though. A lot of Trump's base is just extreme to be extreme. They call me a centrist because I'm extreme in the wrong way.
Well, listen, and just to clarify to you, I took shit because I did want Vivek, but I also preferred DeSantis over Trump. So a lot of Trump people threw shit at me. I just said that I was willing to support whoever of those came out of it. I was. So the question I have to you, if you could just put your blinders on, and even though I think you'll have valid criticisms such as bump stock policies, insane amounts of spending. Trump was not a fiscal conservative. He spent at a higher clip than Obama. So as an actual conservative, I'm not even getting into the debate that you would be right. Certainly. There are things that aren't conservative about Trump. But my question to you is, if we're just looking at policies of a Biden administration or a Trump administration, which one of those would be closer to your conservative vision? Look, not thinking ahead to who would be best for me in 2028.
That's where I'm saying that Connor and I will split, is out of the two presidents, who am I hoping to see become president a little bit more than the other? Is still Trump, yeah, because policy platform was. My issue is the fact that he's the candidate in the first place.
But why wouldn't you vote for him?
All right, guys, we are rounding on about an hour and 10 minutes on this. So let's just do closing statements so we can get to the next question. So Eudi, you went first on this. So Jeb, how about you close first, and then we'll go Rob, and we'll go all the way around.
Sure. Yeah. So let me remember what the original question was. Here was the original
question. Right? Yeah, exactly.
So unifier one. Okay. So I think a unifier. I actually agree with. I think something Rob would agree with, which is that I think the Biden presidency has made people crave some like bread and butter conservative policies. I think it has made people crave stronger support for our police, like, city police, things like that. I think it's helped people see the immediate effects of massive spending. I actually think people are moving on guns a little bit, seeing all of these wild protests and seeing all the law enforcement organizations be under-supported and DAs that won't prosecute. So I think a real unifier would be somebody who leans on those things and doesn't have like 80% of their platform be focused on vilifying people who don't already support them. I think a little more of the Biden brand of, listen, I'm in it for you. I'm in it for this individual person. I was talking to this old lady yesterday and she wants me to support the police because her catalytic converter got stolen. That kind of shit. DeSantis will do that shit. I like DeSantis more than Nikki Haley, but Nikki Haley got my support because she proved like, holy shit, this is someone who, if she became president, I think would move a lot of moderates to become sympathetic to voting conservative in the future. She's not my perfect candidate, but she kicks the shit out of Trump. And so I think she would move people over and unify people. Nikki Haley would have been the best unifier out of any candidate from either side, in my opinion. And I don't think that this idea that Trump is going to do anything about the deep state or the three-letter agencies has any merit, because I think instead of doing anything about them, he'll just do what he did last time, which is fire the current leader and try to plant one that he thinks will help him. And then when that one doesn't, he'll fire them and he doesn't want to take down these structures because then they won't be available for him. He wants to he wants to reframe and redirect them to work for him. He doesn't actually want to divest from them.
Got it. Mr. Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree in the last point. I think that Trump has about a 5% chance to win, and I think if he wins, he has like a 2% chance of actually doing anything meaningful like I want, like disbanding the FBI. It's just not going to happen. But there's two levels to it. There is the mere fact that he's there stopping the excesses of the intel agencies, literally targeting people like me that are pro-life, that are at school board meetings, etc. We're being targeted by the FBI. We're just finding out today, I saw more information, bank accounts of conservatives are being looked at by the FBI and groups like that. So even if Trump doesn't end it, at least he delays it. Another 4 years of these excesses, who knows where we'll be. We could be in World War III by then anyways, the direction things are going. So I don't disagree with the criticism of Trump that maybe he won't do enough. He'll fail like he did the first time. He'll go after the deep state by appointing John Bolton. Great job. Like, I mean, it's just stupidity. It's on its face. That was a stupid decision. The problem I have, I'm not going to argue about Nikki Haley or anything here because she's no longer in the race. like or hate our system, we have a binary system. And at this point, tantamount to not voting for Trump is a vote for Joe Biden or just throwing your vote away. That's inevitably what it's going to be. If there's enough of a principled reason to do so, and maybe we'll get to the second topic here, why Jeb would think that will propel the Republicans, that's an argument worth to be had. But in the position of Connor, I think I would implore you to consider a vote for Donald Trump, because even though his excesses could be terrible, you think he's corrupt, you think he's a terrible person. I'm not arguing with you on that front. I'm saying that the alternative is worse, and that the worst impulses of Trump will be controlled because every institution hates Trump. So they're not going to let him achieve authoritarian power. The worst you'll get from him is mean tweets and kicking the dirt, and then people like Mitch McConnell and Mike Johnson taking the reins and doing a bunch of shit that I'm not going to like, but that would be considered normal sort of Republican stuff. So I don't think the grenade, now you're right, it might trigger people on the left, but I don't think that's a reason not to vote for Trump, because there are insane people on the left that have been brought up thinking they're morally virtuous and they're allowed to use acts of violence, intimidation, censorship, etc. So for me, it's clear cut. When it comes to unification, I don't really think that that's something that we should specifically be looking at necessarily, but the best chance we have to get to that unification is to have someone like Trump that would rein in those excesses, and hopefully it will encourage people in the Democratic Party to get rid of some of their insane people and get back to what, hopefully, it'd be nice to have two parties. I think we have zero right now. It'd be nice to have two that you could say at least they're looking out for, people with sensible policies.
Got it. Mr. Connor?
Yeah, the Republican that I want, the great unifier, they don't exist, unfortunately. I would say give me like 15 or 20 years of salting, and maybe I'll try to, run for office or something. I expect my use of slurs to prevent me from doing so. But maybe in 20 years, nobody will care about slurs. Maybe,
it'll earn
maybe.
my vote.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe being a memer and a gamer when you're younger will actually be a reason to vote for someone. But so the Republican that I want doesn't exist. It's unfortunate. I do want kind of like heterodox characters like Teddy Roosevelt, even Richard Nixon, believe it or not. I swear to God, if you listen to Nixon's speeches, he's one of the most thoughtful people that I've ever heard speak. And it's kind of a shame that he got into his own paranoia about Watergate and the burglary and the DNC and all that kind of stuff. Because the truth is, if he ran clean, I think he would have been remembered as one of the greatest presidents we ever had. But anyways, so doesn't exist. Wish it would. I think Rob knows, everybody knows that I'm working with Democrats against Trump. I do hate him that much. And I do hope that he loses and we maintain stability for another 4 years. And then hopefully we can create the Republican that we want.
Beautiful. Mr. EOD?
Oh, man. I don't have a lot to say other than the fact that what we're talking about is the ideal person. The ideal person to lead the country. And what are the suggestions that we've gotten so far? It's Teddy Roosevelt, Mitt Romney, Rand Paul, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis. Essentially, the opposition to Rob and I about Trump is anybody but Trump. Anybody but Trump. I mean, literally, you're all over the place with this, Connor, with these suggestions. At least Jeb's a little bit fucking consistent, where he's like, okay, maybe these two who actually ran in the fucking primary might have a chance. And the fact that you work with that fucking political action committees, it hadn't even come up, and I'm trying to fucking avoid it, Connor, because it's going to get real fucking contentious if we do start to talk about that. However, what am I trying to say? The ideal person, okay, isn't on the ticket. That's the reality at the end of the day. And who is on the ticket? You got the douche and the turd sandwich. You got Trump and you got Biden. And who's going to be better? Who's going to be worse? One of the things Rob said was that Trump has a 5% chance winning. I think that's erroneous. I think Trump has a much stronger chance of winning than that. I think it borders on like the 40 to 50% chance. Okay, that's really where I'm at. Because when you look at the polls, you look at Biden's approval rating, it's in the fucking dumpster. It has been for years. Since like the 1 year Biden had a positive approval rating was the first year, and not even the entirety of the first year. Since then, it's all been downhill. It's all been upside down. And why? Because inflation is through the roof. Your groceries cost 40% more than they did under Trump. Your stock market, your 401k is 40% less valuable than it was under Trump. The border is wide open. We have Chicago, New York City crying out in pain because their social services businesses are being absolutely strangled to death because of the open border policies of this fucking institutional authoritarian fucking government that we have right now. I haven't even touched on the idea that yes, people who seem to be on the wrong side of the fucking aisle are being persecuted daily by this corrupt DOJ, thrown in jail, thrown under the fucking bus because they don't carry the narrative. They don't toe the party line, which is Biden's party, which is the Democrat party, which are fucking communists at this point, as far as I'm concerned. That's a whole different goddamn story we can get into if you really want to. I don't think we do. At the end of the day, it's a choice between a douche and a turd sandwich. You got to go with the person who has proven himself to be better for this country than the person who has proven himself to be a gross authoritarian trying to destroy what this country was built for, what this country was founded upon. This guy does not seem to give a shit. And you know what? Maybe it's because it's weekend at Biden's. Maybe he doesn't have any fucking real authority or autonomy over the situation, and it's the deep state who's pulling all of the strings, trying to throw all of us under the bus so that they can continue to maintain power, so that they can continue to engage in endless foreign wars, such as what Nikki Haley wants to support. You know, I was hopeful for DeSantis for a long time. He would have been my dude, but the guy obviously demonstrated that on a national stage he's unable to compete. He's unable to facilitate the appeal that's necessary to run in politics on a national stage. I think DeSantis is right where he belongs. I think Trump is right where he belongs, and our next president had better be Trump, or our country is in serious fucking peril. That's where I'm at.